Bitter internal debate exploding right now into public view as Republican House members stand poised to pass a doomed bill that funds the government while defunding Obamacare. The result could be a government shutdown only 11 days from now. And there's deep division within the GOP over how far the party should go. And joining us now, Republican Representative Sean Duffy of Wisconsin and Republican Representative Peter King of New York. Guys, thanks very much for coming in. Let's have a serious discussion right now. I know you two disagree on many aspects of the funding of the federal government. Congressman King, you think it's kamikaze, you think it's General Custer crazy for the Republicans to be linking the defunding of Obamacare to continued spending of the federal government after October 1st. Tell us why.
As part of an overall strategy, it makes no sense at all. I understand why the Speaker wants to couple them in tomorrow's bill so we can at least get it over to the Senate. But as an overall strategy, it makes no sense because we know that it's not going to make it out of the Senate. We know that even if it did, the President would veto it. And to me, this is not the proper venue for that. It makes no sense at all. We know we're going to lose. And again, whether it's Custer, whether it's kamikaze, or whether it's Gallipoli, or whatever, we are going to lose this. And we have so many winning issues against the President. I think it's a wing within our party, led by people like Ted Cruz, who have been really, as far as I'm concerned, carrying out a fraud with the people by somehow implying or even saying that this strategy is going to win. They know it's not going to win, and now it's over to them in the Senate after tomorrow. We'll see what they do. Either they put up or shut up.
What about that, Congressman Duffy? You think Congressman King is right?
Well, first off, I do think that we should include the defunding of Obamacare in our funding package. And the reason is you've had conservatives in the Senate who have been talking loud and drawing a crowd, asking for a fight on Obamacare. And as your viewers know, Wolf, we've had this fight in the House for the last 2.5 years. We voted 40 times to delay or stall or defund Obamacare. But because of Harry Reid in the Senate, Senate conservatives haven't had this fight. So they've been asking for it. I think it's only fair that we in the House give them a package that defunds Obamacare and let them debate it over there, let them fight it over there. If they want to filibuster, have at it. We give them the opportunity.
All right, Congressman King, go ahead and respond.
Yeah, I don't really disagree with Sean. I mean, I'm against the overall strategy, but I understand why the Speaker is coupling them tomorrow, because it's the only way we can get a bill out of the House. And Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and Mike Lee have been saying if we just send it over to the Senate, they're going to resolve the whole thing. They're going to win this fight. Well, we're giving it to them. We know they're not going to win it, and it's going to come back to us in the House without the defunding in it. But let them explain to the American people and to the Republican Party why they were saying all summer that this was a winning strategy. So I understand why John Boehner is doing what he's doing tomorrow. He really has no choice. But again, it's going to come back to us sometime next week, and then we have a decision to make. And I'm saying we cannot let the government shut down.
And Wolf, if I may,
Congressman Duffy, Carl, hold on. I want you to respond, but I want you to respond to Karl Rove, the Republican so-called political architect, who wrote in the Wall Street Journal this today. He says this strategy that a lot of Republicans in the House want is also crazy. Any strategy to repeal, delay, or replace the law must have a credible chance of succeeding or affecting broad public opinion positively. The defunding strategy doesn't. Going down that road would strengthen the president while alienating independents. It is an ill-conceived tactic, and Republicans should reject it. You want to accept that advice or reject that advice from Karl Rove?
Well, as an end strategy, Carl may have some very good points, but where we're at right now is we've had these conservatives in the Senate who have been throwing bombs at Peter King and I in the House, asking for a defunding of Obamacare funding package. So what we're doing now is giving them the fight. Wolf, if the Senate sends us a package back that fully funds Obamacare because Senate conservatives have failed in their mission to hold the Senate, then we're going to have a conversation about how we move forward. I'm not one who believes we shut the government down.
If that happens, Congressman Duffy, if that happens, if they send back full funding of the federal government but no reduction in spending for Obamacare, how will you vote on that so-called continuing resolution to keep the government afloat?
No, Wolf, I think they'll send back a package that is fully funded beyond sequester levels and will fully fund Obamacare. What we'll do in the House is there's a number of options that we have. We will volley the ball back to the Senate with some Obamacare reform and spending reform, and they'll have to decide how they vote when we respond after this back and forth.
So you're willing to go to the brink, is that right, Congressman Duffy, and including, if necessary, shutting down the federal government in order to prevent funding for Obamacare?
Wolf, America does not like Obamacare. We conservatives in the House and the Senate don't like it either. But that doesn't mean we have to shut the government down. But it does mean we have to engage in this conversation and fight over it. And if we don't have this fight, we can't make any progress. Listen, we don't want to shut the government down, but we want to have the debate.
So it's just a debating point? Is that what you're saying? You're not really going to shut the government down at the Senate, which is Democratic controlled, does not stop funding Obamacare. You will allow the government to remain in business. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, for all I know, Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell are going to sing Kumbaya together. They're going to find an agreement as they have a filibuster over in the Senate. They might negotiate this thing out and send us a package in the House that works for us. I don't know what they're going to do. And listen, I think Peter King and I can't figure out how the Senate behaves as House members, nor can America.
Go ahead, Peter King. Respond to what we just heard.
Well, actually, I basically agree with Sean. I mean, we're on the same page. Neither one of us wants the government to close. We're going to do all we can to keep it open. And I would just say, if anything good comes from all of this, when Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and Mike Lee fail in the Senate next week, maybe finally we Republicans will have ended their influence. We as House Republicans should stop letting Ted Cruz set our agenda for us. He should stay in the Senate. He should keep quiet. And if he can deliver on this, fine. If he can't, then he should keep quiet from now on, and we shouldn't listen to him.
And
Sean
to that
Duffy,
point,
if you lose on this point, let's say you keep the government running, but there's no coupling it to Obamacare. A lot of Republicans say they want to raise it, and once again, when you need to raise the debt ceiling in mid-October. Listen to what the president said this week.
You have never seen in the history of the United States the debt ceiling, or the threat of not raising the debt ceiling, being used to extort a president or a governing party, and trying to force issues that have nothing to do with the budget and have nothing to do with the debt.
All right, go ahead, respond to the president, Sean.
Listen, Wolf, you know well that in 2006, Barack Obama made a floor speech talking about how we were mortgaging our children's future by raising the debt limit. We owe $17 trillion in debt. We're willing to raise the debt limit as long as we reform the way that we spend and reform our entitlement program. And the president is going to have to negotiate with us, just like he wants to negotiate with Syria and Russia, to figure out a solution on how we resolve this debt problem. We're willing to raise it, but listen, we can't continue down this path of borrowing and spending. And if you'll work with us, we can find common ground and not have any brinksmanship. But he has to negotiate. He has to come to the table.
But does he have to come to the table on Obamacare or other issues?
Listen, I hope he comes to the table on all of them. This is divided government. And I think there's enough issues on both sides where everyone can be a winner. And if everyone gets something that they want, we can walk away, and I think America wins. But if you just draw a line in the sand, if you draw your red line and don't talk to the other side like the president's doing right now, listen, you can't find resolution, and that's when you see brinksmanship, and that's when you see these threats of government shutdowns or debt limits not being raised. We don't want to see that. I think that's too catastrophic.
Let me give Peter King the last word. Give some advice to your fellow Republicans in the House and Senate right now.
I would say keep in mind we cannot let the government shut down, and if we make it through this continuing resolution crisis, it will be because of John Boehner's leadership, and the president has an absolute obligation to sit down with John after this and resolve the debt ceiling issue. For him to say he won't negotiate is the height of arrogance. If he can sit down with Vladimir Putin, he can sit down with John Boehner.
Peter King, Sean Duffy, gentlemen, thanks very much.
Thanks, Wolf.
Just ahead, this is coming up.
No trace, no, clue at all.